really is a privilege to be here. My name's Jonathan Pollinger. I don't know a lot about IVF, but I do know about social media, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about this morning. Social media can be pretty scary, and hopefully you won't be looking like this in about half an hour's time. You'll be a little bit calmer. I think this photo can teach us quite a lot, and I'll be referring to it at the end of the session. So what I'm going to be talking about is a brief sort of social media overview, what it's about, what makes it different from traditional forms of marketing like advertising, and really what are the key thing is what are its benefits, how it can really be of value to your clinics. Then we're going to specifically look at Facebook and Twitter. Throughout the session, I'm going to be referring to a few real examples that are out there of clinics that are using Facebook and Twitter. Going to be a few tips along the way, some real take-homes for you to action, and going to finish off by looking at a few useful tools that'll make the whole social media thing a bit easier for you. So, social media, the defining characteristic is the fact that it's very much about conversation. It's unlike advertising or even a website where it's there you have a one-way communication channel. Social media is two-way with old-style, what I would call old-style marketing methods like an advert, say, on the TV or in a magazine. There is no opportunity for your audience, the people that you're talking to respond. They just aren't able to do that unless they jump on another sort of channel, unless they phone you or unless they email you. But within the context of a magazine advert, an advert on the radio or TV, that's just not possible. Social media all changes that from one-way to two-way, and that's really what makes it interesting. That makes it possible to have a conversation with your potential patients, potential customers, and also existing customers, which is really important for customer services, advice, and keeping them on side. So it's not about bulldozing people into submission. It's not about a hard sell and being really forceful. It's more subtle than that. It's about engagement and about conversation. And to make it work, the key point is to put your audience first. Very, very important. Not to consider your messages from your point of view, but to think about what it is that your audience want to hear. What is the benefit for them? And that's actually quite a hard thing to do. But if you can get that right, social media can be really effective and very, very powerful. So putting your audience first. There was quite a lot of conversation yesterday from yesterday's speakers about putting the patient first, and it's the same principle. Social media is not called social media by accident, so it is very much about people. It is about the audience. It works because you can talk to them as doctors, as clinics, but they can also talk back to you, but they can also, crucially, talk amongst themselves. They can make recommendations to other patients and other people, and that can be a really powerful form of marketing. In England, we say the best way to get business is by word of mouth, and what you can do on social networks is basically have an online word of mouth. They're a very good communication mechanism for people to make recommendations to other people. So, to kind of break that down a bit and to sort of try and show you how to make it work, make these social networks work, which we'll be looking at shortly, it's about engagement, getting people on side. That's putting your audience first, finding out what their buzz points are, if you like, what really motivates them, what is of interest to them. If you can do that, if you can engage them, then they will interact with you, and that will create awareness. So, for example, if we were talking about Facebook, then if they're commenting on your page, if they're putting posts on your page, or even if they're doing that initial like of the page, that's all really positive stuff because it's interaction, and interaction on social networks gets you noticed. On Twitter, which we'll come on to, if you don't understand terms like retweet, I'll be explaining that. But on Twitter, that's basically the interaction there would be a retweet. People will pass your message onto other people. So engagement leads to interaction. That gets you noticed, raises awareness, puts you in front of people that perhaps you wouldn't normally be able to get in front of. And in business terms, that can give you sales. And in the terms of a clinic, it can bring you more patients. So there's three words. If there's just sort of one thing from this talk of mine today that I'd like you to take away, it's three words. And I think it's kind of like what I call a social media mantra. It's a rule set, again, to make things work. And the first of those words is listen. Because if we're going to have a conversation with our patients or prospective patients, then really important to listen. Just the same in face-to-face when you're at an event like this, for example, you do need to listen to people when you're talking to them. And if we look at how companies are actually doing this, this is a photograph taken in Dell's offices in California, and I mean, it looks like something out of NASA, doesn't it? And it's kind of scarily named, almost Social Media Listening Command Center. Very grand. And what's happening here is that they're monitoring tools and networks like Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, for terms relating to their business, so terms like Dell computers, industry terms like computers, servers, hardware, so they can see what people are talking about. They can literally listen into those conversations. It's not, it's not spying. All this information is open and out there, and that can be of huge value to a business. If it wasn't, Dell wouldn't have created this office to do this. So they will be getting value in the sense they'll be getting feedback from existing customers on how they're finding their products, whether they're finding them useful or not. And that will be both positive and negative, but then they can choose how to react with that. But they can also get leads, and they'll get a huge amount of business in this way, because they will be able to spot conversations with people asking questions about computers, and they'll be able to answer those questions. They can be helpful, and then when it comes the time for a business or a person to buy the next computer, then if they've established that relationship and made it strong enough, then they'll purchase from Dell. So it can be quite a powerful thing and very worthwhile doing. To put it another way, in simple terms, there are people talking about your clinics, and scary as it may seem, I said social media can be a scary thing, people talking about you out there on social networks. So it kind of makes sense to be aware of that and to know about that conversation and what is being said. So the second word is connect. Very important part of establishing that initial relationship with a prospective customer. On Facebook, that would be obtaining a like. That's really the first step of a relationship. And on Twitter, that's obtaining a follower. Both those things help you build your audience. And next step is engage, is really to engage with them, to provide your customers or your patients with value. So those three words again: listen, connect, and engage. And this rule set applies to pretty much all social networks and any social media situation. Follow those rules, and you will find that the tools do work for you. So specifically coming on to the value, the objectives, what you can use tools like Facebook and Twitter for. What is the point of all of this? Well, you can engage with your patients with your clinic and your services. You can tell them about what it is that you do. You can provide valuable advice and get them involved. If you run events like drop-in events, open house events, or perhaps even workshops and courses, you can spread the word using social media, and we'll look at specifically how you can do that a bit later, and increase the number of attendees at those events. For your existing patients, you can provide customer services because, as we said, it's very much about conversation. It's two-way communication, so you've got the ability to answer people's questions and really be there for them. Very similar in the sense that Itai was talking about the live chat on websites. It's the same sort of concept. You can be there for your patients and you can respond to them. If you have a newsletter, and I believe this will probably be talked about later on in the conference, the value of having a regular newsletter out to your patients, then you can encourage sign-ups because you could put a sign-up form on your Facebook page, or you could put a link from Twitter to the sign-up form on your Facebook page or on your website and encourage more people to subscribe to your newsletter. You can drive engaged visitors to your website or blog. Twitter in particular, very good for driving traffic. People do click the links on Twitter and Facebook if they're relevant and they think that there's value at the end of the link, and they will then visit your website as a result of that. And key sort of word here, engaged. They're not just visitors that are coming in from Google or because they found you in some sort of directory. If you've been through the listen, connect, and engage process and you've kind of, they are warm clients, if you like, or warm potential clients, then you've started that relationship with them. So by the time they get to your website, there's a fair chance that they'll do something. Perhaps they'll then take the step to book an appointment or contact you. So engage visitors to your website. You can obtain valuable feedback and data from patients. You can simply ask them questions. You can do that in the form of surveys, polls, or just simply one-off questions on Facebook and Twitter, and gain valuable insights into what it is that they're thinking. You can very much keep up with the competition. You know, the social media stuff, it's all still very new. Not everybody is using it, and doing a bit of research, it was actually quite hard to find examples amongst IVF clinics that are using Facebook and Twitter. Not many of you are yet, so it can definitely give you a leg up on the competition, particularly if you're doing it properly, and particularly if you're getting results and benefits such as these. And finally, you can create a community around your clinic. Something that was touched on yesterday. Communities can be very powerful, and you can use these tools to do that, to get basically a body of people that are so enthusiastic and fired up about your clinic and about your services that they will talk about that. They'll talk about that to people face to face, but they'll also talk about it across their social networks. So specifically, moving on to Facebook and Twitter and giving you some sort of real actionable things that you can do. Facebook is absolutely huge. Started off sort of 2004, took a little while to get going, and end of last year about 800 million, but it's in actual fact around about 850 million now. Almost certainly to hit about billion, to cross that billion users. Staggering number of people, 1 billion in later on this year. Has anybody seen the film The Social Network at all? Okay, yeah, quite a few hands in the audience. So when you think that they had that, you remember the scene when they had that party where the ticker sort of like clicked up to 1 million users, and quite rightly the champagne popped and they celebrated that massively. Massive achievement for a website created in a university dormitory by a couple of guys. Well, quite sort of scary to think that was there, and now we're way beyond there. So it's just a phenomena. So just to illustrate the power of Facebook, some of you might have even come across this little story. There was a girl in England called Lily who wrote to a supermarket over there, a big supermarket chain called Sainsbury's, and she was querying why the bread that they had there, which looked more like giraffe bread, was actually called tiger bread. So she wrote off this letter, and she got a reply from a customer services guy in Sainsbury's called Chris King, and he did exactly what I was saying earlier. He put his audience first. So he wrote it back in Lily's language, talking to her as you would talk to a child, and it very in a cute way. He actually he signed the letter Chris King, aged 27 3/4, which was quite nice. And he sent her a voucher and sort of said see what he could do. So this letter, the scan of the letter there and the letter that he sent back just went viral across both Facebook and Twitter. And this is just a single example. This is taken from a personal account, actually, of that's why the names are blacked out, of a customer services guy in India that I know. And look at the traffic that we got here of this letter. 157,000 people clicked the like button, and it was shared across 50,000 personal profiles, and lots of comments as well. And this is just one instance. This is just a guy's personal profile. It's not Sainsbury's business page. And this happened. There's probably about, guessing, between 50 and 100 similar instances of this across Facebook. As a matter of interest, actually, before I started talking about this story, how many people in the room knew about this? Anybody seen it before? No. Okay, so it didn't reach that far, but it's very, very powerful. How much did this cost Sainsbury's for all this publicity? Cost of a second-class stamp. Very, very little, and about 20 minutes of Chris King's time. So Facebook can be enormously powerful. And the result, a 3.5-year-old girl managed to change a major corporation's product name, because in the end they changed it. They agreed. So they changed it from tiger bread to giraffe bread. On Facebook, there's a number of entities that you can have in terms of how you set up, and there's often a lot of confusion about this, so I thought I'd just run through it. People on Facebook, they have profiles. That's what the presence on Facebook is called for people. Businesses, organizations, clinics tend to have pages. Definitely not profiles. They'll either have pages or groups. There is this third entity, groups, there's a bit of a mystery about. Groups are basically for a defined number of people who have a sort of particular interest, and you can get invited to a group. They can be open or they can be closed. So if you wanted to perhaps create a community around you and your patients, similar to the type of forum that Jan was talking about yesterday, then it could be worth considering groups, because that could be closed in the sense that people have to be invited, and so only those people, members of the group, would see the contents. Alternatively, you might want to collaborate with other people in your clinic, or even with other doctors and professors around the world, and you could have a totally closed group and collaborate using a group in that way. A lot of people aren't aware that Facebook groups actually support documents. They're very basic, but they do have their own documents. So you can do worky sort of stuff. You can manage a project, or you could manage an event using a group. But in most cases, a clinic would have a page. But the main message, I guess, with this is please don't make the mistake of setting up a clinic as a profile. A lot of businesses and organizations do that, but profiles very, very strictly are people. I won't go into the reasons why, but take my word for it, profiles people, and pages for businesses and organizations. So just an example from Manchester Facility Services of their Facebook page, and you'll see that it has a I've just taken a screenshot of the top of the page, and just as Ite was saying, people are important, and I like this this picture. Facebook have just introduced this new concept called timeline, which I'm sure you've heard of. And one of the features of timeline is that you have the opportunity to put on what's called a cover photo, and it takes up a lot of the page. This is a screenshot, but if this was my laptop being projected up here, it would actually take up about 45–50% of the screen. So this photo is very important because it has huge visual impact when somebody visits the page for the first time. And it's nice. You can see the people that you're dealing with. It adds personality, and it's a sharp, clear picture. And over here, they've used the what's called the profile picture to add their logo. So fine, because they've got that's good. They've got their company or clinic branding on there as well. It's not a huge page, 115 likes, but I could see this page sort of growing over time. Just while we're here, you notice that there's a message button here. That's a new feature of Facebook, and again, it's the conversational aspect of social media because that enables visitors to the page to message the page. This wasn't possible before. So you, as a clinic, can communicate out to people by posting on your wall, which would be this area here. But they can also now, as well as posting on the wall, they can communicate with you privately by messaging you. And perhaps that's something that that you might want to encourage. Just picking up on a post from the same page. This is quite nice too because it's personal and it's engaging. Talking about a nurse of theirs who'd won or been nominated for an award, and yeah, you know, that is interesting. People respond to that kind of news. You're getting over a flavour or culture, even personality of your clinic by doing that. And despite the small number of around about 100 people on the page, this generated 5 likes and 6 comments, and all those 6 comments were positive. People respond to personal type content like this. This is a page example, a screenshot from Michael's Facebook page, Boston IVF, and again, very powerful picture. And on the Boston IVF Facebook page at the moment, it is by far the most popular post and picture with 43 likes there and 6 comments, not only positive but very positive comments. Can't underestimate the importance of photos and videos, a theme that I'll be coming back to. People think, when they think content and posting on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, etc., they kind of, first thing that comes into their mind is text. First thing that should come into your mind is photos. So easy to do now as well. We've all got the technology to do that, or you can pay a professional to get really good photographic results. So before moving on to Twitter, just a sort of top tip when it comes to Facebook is to take advantage of the new timeline feature, and so many businesses haven't yet got around to this. Okay, so fair enough, it's new, but you can really get a leg up on the competition and other clinics if you do this. Timeline basically gives you the ability to go back since the launch of your clinic, since it was founded, and put in all the information from then up to the present day. So very important to put in any milestones over that time period. And you may think, oh, nothing much has happened with my clinic, and it was only founded 5 years ago. But there will be lots of interesting stuff around that. Where you work, again, Itai referred to that just now in terms of it's important to show people where you work, the offices, reception area. So perhaps a photograph of your first office, your first building, the launch date of your business, the first staff that were with you early on, the receptionist, any awards that you've won, conferences that you've been to. All of these could potentially be milestones, or certainly posts, to fill out that history of your clinic. So fill out the timeline. It's not gonna. It might take a few hours to do that, but fill it out with useful, engaging information, and anyone then looking at your page, that really helps to get over authenticity and helps to get over the culture of your clinic and what you're all about. And don't forget to use photos and videos as much as possible when you're doing that. So, just one more Facebook to kind of illustrate the timeline thing. This was a single post from the Manchester page, but picture of a 25-year-old that was actually their first IVF baby. So what they could also do is to go back to 25 years ago and actually put that in as a status update, as a post, so that you've got a complete history. Well, not a complete history, but you've got something from the very first success that they had as a clinic. So, question for you. 140, significance of this number in the context of this talk? Anybody like to answer? Okay, a number of characters in a tweet. So you haven't got a lot of room to play with. You have to be very concise when you're on Twitter. You have to get your message across in a short space of time. So there isn't any waffle there. There's no time for that. You have to make it as interesting as possible, and you might be putting in a link as well. Might be a link to a picture, might be a link of a website, and all of that takes up the 140 characters. But that's kind of the strength of Twitter, because if you're absorbing information, if you're listening onto Twitter, using it as a news source or an information source, then even on a phone, you'll get 6 or 7 different tweets from different people. So you get a whole range of information from different sources. So it's not just like reading one large article. The shortness of it is really its success. It would probably seem like a crazy idea when they started it, but 140 characters is key. So what is it? Well, this is Twitter's own definition. If you log out or you visit Twitter for the first time, they say, find out what's happening right now with the people and organizations you care about. So there's some key words here. First of all, they've pitched this not as something to post your message out, but again, they've pitched it from a listening point of view. They're pitching it to the listeners. They're encouraging people to find out and absorb information here. And what's happening? So news. This is key right now. Twitter, compared with other information sources and indeed other types of marketing, is instant. You know, you could put out a tweet now about the fact that you're at this conference, and somebody in Hong Kong, somebody in Venezuela, and somebody in London could all read that in literally no time at all, just exactly the same time as you tweet it. So enormously powerful, the instantaneous effect. And in business terms, that's significant because if you're getting out information that's time sensitive, then you can do that. Let's say, for example, you're promoting an event, then an alternative might be a glossy leaflet or a poster. So you have to get that poster or leaflet designed, you have to get that printed, and then you have to get that distributed. Probably minimum 4 or 5 days there. Twitter, a couple of seconds. So it is immediate and right now. Twitter are teeing up the service for people like yourselves, for clinics. It's not just about celebrities and people, it's about organizations. So make your clinics organizations that people do care about. So just some sort of terms. I know several people are on Twitter, but I'll try and add a bit of value even if you are on Twitter. So retweet, such a fundamental term now that the term actually entered the Oxford English Dictionary last year. So I've used their definition, and they talk about reposting and forwarding. So what a retweet is, it's the action of forwarding somebody else's tweet onto your own audience. And it's the mechanism of how information and tweets go viral across Twitter. So you're on Twitter and you see something very interesting or very newsworthy, you retweet that and you pass that on to your audience, onto your followers. So what you want to try and do is, I would say,
every tweet, apart from perhaps your conversational tweets, every tweet you want to try and aim for a retweet, because you want to try and get as much exposure right the way across Twitter as you can, as much people reading that as possible. There are different ways to retweet. You can just hit the button on Twitter, which is probably the easiest way to do it, or you can manually retweet. You can just put in the letters RT space and then @ symbol and then the person's username and then copy and paste the tweet in there. If you do it manually, then that gives the advantage of adding in a word or a hashtag or putting it into context. So retweets. Hashtags are kind of getting more important all the time. What hashtags do is that they center conversation on Twitter around a particular topic or around a subject or a theme, and they're also great for promoting events. So if you click on a hashtag, hashtags are hyperlinked, so you immediately get the full conversation on Twitter relating to that particular topic. So it can be really, really useful to follow a particular trend or subject. And so, for example, IVF, infertility, pregnancy are tweets that are hashtags that are regularly in use. There are conversations happening around those subjects right now, this morning, on Twitter. So wouldn't it make sense if you were part of that conversation, even if you were just listening to it? In terms of events, one or two people here are using the hashtag IVF Live. Hashtag IVF Worldwide is also being used. And so this helps people in this room communicate with one another and talk about the subjects and discussions that are happening during the course of the event. So hashtags very good for promoting events and for following a particular subject. Also, Twitter changes all the time, and there's kind of a new thing with hashtags coming in terms of using them for emphasis or for humor, and this is kind of a developing thing. So that's one to watch out for there. They are probably being driven into the mainstream, and certainly helping to drive Twitter into the mainstream, because films and TV programs are now using hashtags to encourage viewers to communicate. Sky News in the UK, BBC News, all use hashtags regularly to try and encourage viewers to join in with the conversation and to ask presenters questions. So the TV, like we said earlier, not possible to have the communication with the TV only, but you can combine TV and Twitter, and you can have an active conversation between the viewers and the broadcasters, and of course the viewers can talk amongst themselves as well. And this is going to be a continuing theme with hashtags. So a few tools for you to perhaps check out. TweetDeck. If you are tweeting seriously for your clinic, then I would suggest you look at TweetDeck or a tool called Hootsuite. They've both got their sort of like pros and cons. TweetDeck's available at tweetdeck.com. There's a web version, and there's also a downloadable version. The main thing about TweetDeck is that it's all about columns, so you can monitor key terms relating to, similar to the hashtag, you can actually monitor hashtags if you want to. So you can monitor terms like fertility, infertility, pregnancy, and you can set up a column for each of those terms. And you can also post out to Twitter as well. So it's a more powerful tool, if you like. It's like a souped-up version of Twitter.com, and it's owned by Twitter, and it's free. Bitly's a handy tool. It basically enables you to shorten links, because you're restricted with the 140 characters. You don't want your links to take up too much space. So if you go to bitly.com and sort out an account there, that can help you not only shorten links, but also it gives you metrics, it gives you measurements. So you can find out if you've got an objective of driving traffic to your website, for example, then you can figure out how much value you're getting from Twitter, because you can measure how many people are clicking on those links on Twitter and on Facebook and coming to your website. So Bitly. Buffer is available at bufferapp.com. It's a scheduling tool. So if you are one of these people where you like to get everything sorted early in the day, then you could set up your tweets over half an hour in the morning, and then those would then go out at a preset pattern during the course of the day for even the following day. So scheduled tweets at bufferapp.com. This one is chargeable. I've got no relationship with the company, but it's a $10 a month subscription. But it's a very useful tool. Advanced Twitter search is what I call Twitter's best kept secret. For some reason, they don't really make a big deal of it, but it's actually a really valuable part of Twitter. You can find it on mainstream Twitter if you just go and do an ordinary search and then hit the settings icon on the right-hand side. It drops down to advanced search. The address is a bit complex. If you'd like the address of advanced Twitter search to access it directly, let me know and I'll let you have the address. Likewise, I'll let you have the slide deck if you like it. But what advanced Twitter search does, it provides you with filters. Probably the most crucial filter is that it provides a location filter. So if you want to search within so many miles of your clinic for certain key terms, then you can do that. Most searches around Twitter are global, so you can't filter those. But the advanced Twitter search, it gives you filter by location, plus some other great filters as well. Twilert is a very useful tool. Again, it's keywords, and it works by email. So you can set up keywords relating to your business, and again you can relate to your clinic and your services. You can tie that into location, and then you can be emailed with the results once a day or several times a day. I think it might actually be the tool that Yesh is looking for, because he said yesterday that the Google version of this kind of thing no longer worked. But Twilert works, and it's free, and it's available at twilert.com. So just look at a couple of Twitter examples. Manchester Fertility again, and Reproductive Biology. The important thing when you're filling out your Twitter profile is to make sure that everything is completed. Kind of sounds quite straightforward, but it's amazing how many people leave gaps. So do make sure that you have your Twitter name there, your account name, a description of your business there. That's quite a nice description because it's informal. It says what the clinic is about, and it also crucially says who does the tweets. And I quite like that. It's a good point. And they've put in the location, and they've put in the website. This one's a little bit shorter, but again, very positive, and all the information's in there. And also both have got completed profile pictures there. A couple of tweets. Very nice link into a service that they run on their website from the first one. They're basically providing value to their patients because they're doing an Ask the Doctor kind of service, and they're promoting that, Ask Our Professor as they put it, they're promoting that over Twitter. Nice use of Twitter, and also I like the way that they've kind of encouraging questions, but starting off by a question. Questions are good on social media. Questions encourage response, and so quite a nice tweet there. Example here of something that they're proud of doing, Reproductive Biology, RBA Clinic, and example of a hashtag here using the infertility hashtag. So if you click this, then you'd basically go off and get the current conversations that were happening around infertility. Interesting thing with Twitter, if you're a little bit scared of it, you don't even have to sign up. You can do all this hashtag business and reading people's tweets, even searches, without even being registered on Twitter. And I know some people that follow the news and they haven't even signed up to Twitter. So if you're a little bit scared, or you just want to dip your toes in the water and see whether it's any value, then just go to twitter.com and see what you find. You might find it useful. So there's a test coming up. So get ready. It's just a simple question. I just want a yes or a no answer to this. So if you can just sort of shout out yes or no. The correct answer is no. Definitely not how you use Twitter. So it's not about shouting at people, it's not about broadcasting, and it's not about megaphones. It's about listening. So top Twitter tip, you get messages on Twitter and you get mentioned. That's when people use your account name. So a message is when people are talking to you, and a mention is when they're talking about you. So it's important to reply to all of those to show that you are listening, and you'll probably be getting questions which are important to answer, and it's also quite important to do this quickly. People's expectations on Twitter now are that questions are replied to same day, and even within a few hours is generally the what people are expecting. So just come back to this picture. Pictures can be quite powerful, as this one is. So I think that's the first thing that it shows us: the power of the visual, the power of photographs. It's also interesting because this picture, it's basically from it's marketing material for Nightmare's haunted house at Niagara Falls, and what they're doing here, which I like, is that they're using their audience for their marketing. So and if you think about it, what else would they do? A haunted house is dark, so would they show a picture of a dark room? Probably not very exciting. But this is a high impact picture. They're using their audience. And that's what social media is all about. Thinking about how you're going to use your audience to do your marketing. Get them on side, get them engaged, and they will use social media to market on your behalf. So just finally, so top social media tip, which applies across all channels, is to ask questions. Why? Because it generates conversation. And social media is about conversation. So ask a question, post something on Facebook, ask a question on Twitter, and those kind of posts always tend to get more response than just a bare sort of statement of a fact or a tip, because they bring people in, they engage people, and they start conversations. So thank you very much. Happy to take questions if anyone has any questions.